Welcome to Speaking from Experience. My name is Rohan, and this is the weekly podcast where I talk about my experiences working in the digital marketing space over the last 10 years, and more importantly, over the last 1 year working at Google. I will talk about the ups and downs throughout my career, about love, relationships, family, money, and a whole lot more. So I really hope you enjoy the episodes you're going to hear. I have poured my heart and soul into them. If you do like the content, please share and subscribe to the podcast. Today we're going to talk about the amazing topic of career change. Yes, this one is something that I am very, very excited to talk about because I personally have a lot of experience with it, and my wife recently also changed her career to become a UX designer, and she was a psychologist before. So let's get straight into it, and as always, let's begin with story time. I started off as a web developer, but right out of college, I wanted to try new things. And I was also diagnosed with ADD when I was in college. So that also made me the worst possible new grad for a company to hire. I had the attention span of a goldfish. My first job right out of college was as a web developer, a front-end web developer, and as a part of the job I had to code about 5 to 6 hours a day. And while I enjoyed this in college, I actually realized a few months into my first gig that coding was not for me, and it bored the living daylights out of me. Coding helped a lot in college and helped me focus when I needed to study and when I needed to pass my exams, but I realized that it wasn't going to pay the bills. So I found myself 1 year into my role, really unhappy with my job and wanting to make a shift into an alternative career. That's when I was chatting with my manager during our one-on-one, and I expressed the fact that I was over the job. So my manager saw the potential in me, and she didn't want to let me go because I was so awesome at whatever I did. She introduced me to the marketing team in that company, and thus started my career in marketing. The guy who I was shadowing on the marketing team was a gem. He knew the ins and outs of online marketing to the T, and I was so thankful that he took me under his wings and showed me the ropes for SEO and SEM. And at that point of time, I was just happy to be learning something new so that I didn't have to do my actual job. So I started to invest tons of time after work researching SEO and SEM. And I finally realized that search engine marketing was going to be my career for the foreseeable future. I was then offered a side project by my manager and the marketing team to run a Google AdWords campaign for one of their clients. And this was my chance to shine. All of that studying that I had been doing after work and all of those YouTube videos that I was watching, even at that time, would finally come to use. So I was really excited, and I put in extra hours after work to do my best on that extra project so that I could actually transition into a role on the marketing team. So 3 months after I had actually started the project, I got the news that I had been waiting for. I got accepted into a role on the marketing team as a junior marketing manager, and that is where my marketing career started. So, with that said, I want to go into a few tips and obviously some of my experiences so that you can find the right resources if you are looking for a career change, or if you're just bored and want to learn about a new career. So let's start. Number 1, finding what you like. It can be really heart-wrenching to think that everything that you've worked for, that you studied in college, is going to be a waste when you decide that the career that you're in right now, today, is not the one that you want to be tomorrow or maybe 3 years down the line. And if you're like me, you automatically think, shit, why did I actually spend thousands of dollars on college when I could have done something completely different? Did I even need a college degree? Did I even need an education? But don't worry, no education ever goes to waste. Everyone thinks like this. And at the end of the day, the fact that you've even thought about changing your career is a step in the right direction, because there's no point of actually being in a job that you hate. So, how do you actually go about finding what your passion in life is and what your next job is going to be? Here are a few things that I did when I was in the same stage as you may be right now. I tried something new for a week. I was a web developer, as I mentioned in my intro. I tried being a QA for a week, and I was thankful that I had a company that supported my passions and were willing to pivot with me and support me through the journey. If you don't have that kind of company, just watch YouTube videos online, or ask a friend if you can shadow them at their work, or ask a friend who you admire and who you think has an amazing job about what their job is. The other thing that I did was take up an internship beyond my work hours. And this was really hard on my body, and there were a lot of late nights. But this is what landed me a job in marketing. It was that internship and me working for free and putting in those extra hours that gave me the knowledge to even pass an interview or to even talk to people in that particular field. So while I was looking for new stuff to do, I started looking at job websites like LinkedIn or Indeed to see the job postings that companies had put up there and to see what they were actually asking for from candidates. Obviously, I was a newcomer in the field, so I was looking at any junior role just to get into the industry. But depending on how similar your career that you want to change into is to your current career, you might be able to look for mid or even higher level roles, which don't necessarily need you to have the base experience for that particular role. The second thing that I did was focusing on what I liked and actually building something with all of the knowledge that I had acquired from my internship, from working with a marketing team at my first job, and watching those YouTube videos. So I started doing a project to help one of my friends in college who was studying marketing in my free time. What this allowed me to do was it gave me access to all of their lecture notes that my friend had in his college, and it also allowed me to research that particular topic and be hyper focused and learn everything that I could about marketing. It also gave me an insight into what I need to improve within myself in order to get a job in marketing. I also did charity work as a part of my internship for a company called Nappy Collective. And essentially, they send out nappies to underprivileged households. So how I helped them was I set up their Google Ads campaigns and their Facebook campaigns to actually do outreach work for them online. And this gave me tons of hands-on experience, and it also help them because it put them in touch with people who were willing to help them out. All of this work also helped me build out my portfolio so that when I was going in for interviews, I could present something to my future employer and say that this is the amazing work that I've done and please hire me and pay me the big bucks. Building a portfolio is even more important if you want to transition into a creative field like graphic designing, UX design, web design, or even app designing, which is so popular nowadays. Or maybe it's not. Maybe that was very 2010s. That obviously shows my age. But irrespective of that, having a portfolio or just something beyond your resume, even if it's like a video resume that you made on YouTube, will set you apart from the mix. Just think about it this way. In today's time, especially during a pandemic, there are at least 400 times more applications that employers are getting for even the basic roles. So whatever you can do to set yourself apart from the pack will help you land your new job. The third thing that is very important when you're deciding what career to transition into is to manage your time, especially if you're doing an internship and doing charity work and doing extra work above and beyond at your current job. You need to have a way of managing your time. Otherwise, you will never be able to invest the amount of effort and energy that's required into actually transitioning into the role. As I always say, talk to your loved ones and get them along with you on the journey. This is really, really important. Otherwise, you will have more fights at home and they will always feel that you don't have time for them. And you'll also feel guilty for actually working in a job that you don't want to work in. So have a chat with them, tell them your game plan, and actually tell them how passionate you are about switching your career, and maybe even talk to them about what you think you want to do next, because for all you know, they might have friends who they can put you in touch with, who can give you some insights, or they might themselves be working in that role and can give you some insight about your future role. The other benefit of time management is that you will not leave the learning part of your new role to just when you have free time. Because when you're trying to change your job or when you're trying to change your career, there is no such thing as free time. It has to be scheduled in and you have to put aside time for learning. Whether you do that through YouTube or you do that in the form of an actual degree. Just make sure to schedule in that time and don't call it free time. It is also very important to time box yourself and set some goals for yourself. So if you know that it'll take you about a year to learn about this new and fancy career that you want to transition into and to give an exam, or if you need certifications, and if you know that it's going to take you about a year or maybe 2 years to actually fully transition into this role, set a deadline. Say that within 365 days, I am going to be in this role. Because what that does is that it pushes you to work harder towards that date. When I wanted to change my career, I went out to literally everyone who would talk to me and say that I wanted to transition into a marketing job within the next year. And I had really supportive friends at that time who were also in the same boat and who had also recently graduated and were also looking for new jobs. So they were more than willing to go to classes with me, to go to seminars with me, and to go to meetups with me just to network with people. That definitely helped me. So always remember to set yourself that goal and to bring as many people along with you on this journey as possible. Now, the fourth and final part of changing your career is actually applying for jobs. it can be very daunting when you don't know what kind of questions will come up for interviews in a career that you have never worked in. But the only way you'll ever get to know about that is if you actually start to apply for jobs. What happens when you apply for jobs is that you read the job description, you know what they'll actually want out of you. And once you start giving interviews, you'll also know what kind of questions the recruiters will ask, the hiring managers will ask, and you know what kind of interview process you will need to go through in order to land your new gig. I use LinkedIn to stalk recruiters in prospective companies and just ask them if they would have a coffee with me. This really helped me because this gave me a recruiter's perspective of what they were looking for, but it also helped me network in the industry. So when I was actually looking to change jobs at any point of time, I had a network of recruiters who I could reach out to. I'm still in touch with almost all of them, and I've referred tons of my friends to these recruiters. So no matter what connection you make in the professional world, it never goes to waste. I also started going to a lot of meetups, and this was the game changer for me because it gave me a perspective of other people who were trying to get into the field. It also gave me an idea of where I stood in comparison to them so that I could work on things that I wasn't that good at. It also helped me make friends. Sometimes when you're in the same boat, when you're in the same classes or trying to change into a similar career, you just end up becoming friends. And I'm still friends with people who I met up at meetup events and other networking events. Some of my colleagues right now are those people. It's always easier to switch jobs within your existing company than applying for jobs at a whole new company. And this is what I did in my first role. When I was bored out of my mind with coding, I actually just went up to my manager and had a chat with her. And they had an opportunity on the marketing team, because of which I ended up actually working in marketing and making marketing my career. So if you are already working, just keep an eye out on positions that are open in your existing company and have a chat with HR if you're not that close with your manager and see if there are any roles open that you might want to go for. They should be able to help you through that process, and they should be able to tell you your company's rules around this. The last thing that I did, and which I am still doing in some shape or form, is start freelancing. It's the easiest way to get into a new field, and it probably has the lowest barrier to entry. This way you can keep your day job and actually work on smaller projects so that you can gain that experience and can gain that confidence. And this way, even if you mess up, people won't really judge you for what you did. So go on to websites like Fiverr or Upwork or even LinkedIn and just see what is out there in terms of freelance roles. So just remember, at the end of the day, changing careers might feel like this uphill battle that you're fighting with yourself and everyone else in the industry you're trying to get into. But it's actually not hard. Just put in the work into learning about this new field and teaching yourself some new skills, along with networking with some recruiters or with some friends, and you will be able to find a new and shiny role in the targeted time that you have set yourself. All right, experience seekers, that was it for today's episode. If you liked the content for today, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And more importantly, spread the word, because the more number of people who listen to the podcast, the more motivated I am to smash out this amazing content.